My name's Craig Irvin, and you're watching a new iteration entitled Fast Ways to Provision New Customers in Active Directory. And in this particular iteration, we're going to be using PowerShell on a 2008 R2 domain controller. My ongoing series that I've been covering, we're talking about a hosting company who's going to be faced with an explosion of growth. This could happen for many reasons, but essentially when this does happen, we're going to be faced with the fact that we have minimal staffing, minimal time. We want to make sure that the standards that we've documented are adhered to. We want to reduce the overall time of provisioning a new customer. We want to reduce the overall amount of errors that are generated when we do create a new customer. And we also want to reduce the overall complication. And there's a lot of reasons for this, but being able to right click on an Active Directory organizational unit and say create or provision new customer and only have to answer one or two questions is paramount to really reducing errors, time, complication, and really the amount of staff that you need to be able to get something done. The standards that we're going to be looking at are essentially that we're going to have a main OU called customers. Inside that OU, we're going to have other OUs that are going to be formatted in a specific way that represent a customer. So the format is going to be a state abbreviation, a 4-digit account number, and then the name of the company without spaces. So for an example, we have a new customer that we're going to bring up called Wags-A-Lot. The account number is 0002. The state is Pennsylvania, and as a result, as you see here, the OU name is going to wind up being PA-0002-Wags-A-Lot. In addition to the primary customer OU, we're going to have other sub-OUs, and inside these sub-OUs we're going to have, in some cases, other groups that represent file access and application access. In regards to application access, we're going to have linkages to other groups. We're also going to want to create a standard user template, and that particular user template is going to be linked into a basic file access group. And what about the future? So we lay this out, and when we provision a new customer and that's done, what happens when we change the format a little bit, or we add a new file group or access group or something? So the way this script is developed is going to be that we're going to be able to overlay this on top of the existing customer and create those new groups without hurting anything else. So what do we want? Well, essentially what I'm aiming for is that we're going to be able to right click on an organizational unit, and we'll have a new menu option that says provision new customer. Essentially this right click is going to be a one-click effect, and we're going to be able to create the base OU structures, all the basic groups and the linkages that some of them require. We're going to be able to create a standard user template, and then we're going to assign a particular group to it. In terms of the user profile location and home folder assigned, we can do this, but given second thought that some people may have two or three file servers, I chose not to add this into the script just yet. And then future expansion that I may cover later on is going through and setting up all of the different file folders that are needed, and also then setting up the share and all the permissions that go along with it. Obviously the script is relatively big already, so adding this in would wind up making this thing go on for a few months probably. So I'm going to split it up, and I'll try to add this into a future expansion later on. So let's go ahead and take a look at a few things on how this works now, and then in a couple more iterations I'll go through the script and explain how things work so you can really get a good feel for how to do this. Alright, and here we are at the domain controller, and I just want to go over quickly the basic structure and describe a few scenarios here before we start running the script. and we'll actually run the script 3 different times. One is going to be on a customer that's set up correctly, another one is on a customer that is not set up correctly, and then also the very first run we're going to provision a brand new customer. So in the case of the basic OU structures, we'll see that each customer, which exists underneath customers, has their own OU. Their own OU is designated by the state dash account number dash name of company without any spaces or special characters. Underneath that we have accounts, contacts, disabled, and groups. Underneath groups we have applications, distribution, file security. Now we also create a standard user template. That user is currently just assigned the member of a base rights group for file security. We also have applications, and there's just 4 applications. Most of them just represent Microsoft Office products, Visio Project and Office, and each of these are assigned a main root application called app.ms-something.2010. These tie back to the application control OU. And then also you'll see the file base rights. Now in Sunspots we'll see that we have no account created, and if we looked in ADSI edit we would also see that some of these groups don't have the extension attribute 1 value assigned. Also some of them are missing the members of. So one of the things I was wanting to do is make sure that this is easy for anybody to run, any administrator or anybody responsible for bringing up a new customer. What I did is I extended Active Directory to run a script from a right-click function. And so essentially if you just right-click on any actual OU, you'll get a provision new customer OU option. You can right-click on any OU and you'll get the same option, but when you actually run the script it will specifically target the customer's OU. So let's go ahead and provision a new customer and see what it looks like. And in our slides we said that we were going to use PA0002 with the company name Wags a lot. And what will happen here is that the script will pull out the spaces and special characters and form it into what it needs to be done. Okay, so just to cover this real quick, when you see the script run, I specifically color-coded things to indicate if it successfully did what it's supposed to or didn't. So either it's going to be red or green. Green is good, red is bad. In addition to this, I also am using a PowerShell transcript. So essentially at the beginning of the script you say start transcript in the name of the output file, and at the end you stop it. And what you'll see when you go over to the path of the script file, that I'm formulating the log file specifically to the date and time and also the customer number basically. And when we open this, it's an exact output of what you've seen before with some additional information. So now if we run this script again, but this time we target the go-to pros, we'll see that everything comes back in red, and essentially we're seeing that the things already exist, etc., etc. But if we run this on the PA Sunspots Incorporated, which is PA001 Sunspots Incorporated, we'll get a little bit different output. And this time we'll see that the linkages were recreated, some of the extension attribute 1 values were reassigned, and also that the user template was created and linked correctly. So hopefully this interests you, and you'll watch some more of my iterations on this particular topic. Most likely it'll be another 2 or 3. So hopefully you come back and really enjoy what you're reading and watching. Thank you very much.